from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Youth on the go. Whoa. Let's start the show. Whoa. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go. Good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Vaughan Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and welcome to this edition of Youth on the Go here on Vaughan Radio. I am Zahnela Claxton from the Ministry of Education et al., and it is always a pleasure to be here with all of you to share any updates we have, any activities, any information that we want to share with the general public. And as we know, this is the last Saturday of the month, and we know what happens on the last Saturday of the month. We have our disaster awareness activity, our ambassadors coming in from the various schools. So far we have seen students from several of our schools. We've had students from Charlestown Primary. They came in January. We had students from St. James Primary in February. We had in March St. Thomas's Primary. Let me see if and in April, we're in April, we have a new school, a new team of ambassadors, and you will get to meet them a little bit later. Of course, I have been out for a few days, a few weeks, a much needed rest and respite period, but I am back, and so we have a few updates for you and some things we did not get to touch on over the period of time that we're also going to share with you today. Coming out of last week, we know that school resumed for our students. I know they were so excited to be back in school. If they're anything like me, I used to go into near depression during every break, every vacation. When everybody else loves vacation, I just used to look forward to going back to school. So if they're anything like me, Monday might have been the best day of their life, at least for this part of the year and this quarter. And so we started term 3 of the 2023-2024 academic year, and for most part it seems to have been an eventful week. We had a few activities happening. At the top, I would like to say congratulations to Charlestown Primary. They had their anniversary celebrations on Thursday, and they also had their motorcade, the inter-primary motorcade, on Friday. I want to also recognize and acknowledge the class champions and Victor Lodorum from the Inter-Primary Schools Championship. We were not able to share those and congratulate them as I have not been back since that meet, and so congratulations to Jaron Isles of the St. Thomas's Primary School, class champion for kindergarten. He received 12 points. He got first in the 60 meters and first in the 100 meters. Jadira McPherson, I remember Jadira, she was here with us last year during Child Month. Great kindergarten class champion, Charlestown Primary School, 12 points, first in the 60 meters, first in the 100 meters. Kalani Morton, grade 1 class champion, first in the 60 meters, 100 meters, and 150 meter races, and he represents the St. Thomas's Primary School, and he got a total of 18 points. In grade 2, we have Miss Akila Douglas, class champion, 20 points, first place 60 meters, first place 100 meters, first place 150 meters. So Akila represents the St. James Primary School. Grade 2 boys, Silan Paris, third total of 30 points, representing the Charlestown Primary School, first 60 meters, and he got a new record. First in the 100 meters, he set a new record for the 150 meters with first place, and he set a new record for the 300 meters. So Silan got 4 firsts with 3 records, and so congratulations to him. Congratulations also to Miss Adira Wallace, class champion grade 3 girls, 16 points. She got first in the 100 meters, first in the 200 meters, and second in the 400 meters. In the grade 3 boys, Kishad Burton of the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School, 14 points. Third in the 100 meters, third in the 400 meters, first in the 200 meters, and he got a new record for the 200 meters. We also see Miss Ronnie Isles, grade 4 class champion girls, total of 18 points. Renee represents the St. Thomas's Primary School, fourth in the ball throw, second in the 100 meters, first in the 200 meters, and first in the 400 meters. Grade 4 boys, Zakeem Bailey, class champion, 17 points. Zakeem represented the Charlestown Primary School, first in the ball throw, fifth in the 100 meters, first in the 200 meters, and second in the 400 meters. Grade 5 boys, Kelvin Liebert, 22 points, Joycelyn Liebert Primary School, second in the 100 meters, first in the 200 meters, first in the 400 meters, first in the 800 meters. For grade 6 boys, representing the grade 5 girls, representing the St. James Primary School, we had Demaya Laggy, and she got 22 points, second in the 100 meters, first in the 200 meters, first in the 400 meters, first in the 800 meters. And to the grade 6 boys, we had Samaro Atherton, 17 points, representing the Joycelyn Liebert Primary School. He received 4th place in the 200 meters, first in the 400, third in the 800, first in the 1200 meter race. Grade 6 girls, Janaya McNeil, 22 points, second in the 200 meters, first in the 400 meters, first in the 800 meters, and first in the 1200 meters. And Janaya represents the Charlestown Primary School. I think I skipped one when I was going through, which is the grade 1 girls. We had Chevonne Brown of the Ivor Walters Primary School. She was the class champion for grade 1 girls, 15 points, first in the 60 meters, third in the 100 meters, and first in the 150 meters. And those are our class champions for the 2024 Gulf Insurance Limited, Bonnie Limited Inter-Primary Schools Championship here on Nevis. We also saw Mr. Silan Paris being awarded the Victor Lodorum. Silan is a grade 2 student, as I said, at the Charlestown Primary School. He received a total of 30 points, and I listed his races previously. And then we had a joint Victrix Lodorum situation with Demaya Largi and Janaya McNeil. Janaya is of the Charlestown Primary School, grade 6, and Demaya is of the St. James Primary School, grade 5. And so they both got 22 points, and so they were both adjudged Victrix Lodorum. And so congratulations to all of the students. As I said before, we were not able to announce these via this medium and to congratulate the students, and we also didn't have the opportunity until Thursday to present them with their awards and their trophies, and so they were able to receive those through a short ceremony on Thursday, and they have that memorabilia to take home with them. We also saw this week the launch of the 5 for Fun cricket program, the Republic Bank 5 for Fun cricket program, and this was an initiative which started last year in our federation. I think it started the previous year in Guyana. Last year in our federation, last year the Ivor Walters Primary School got the first place federal prize, and this year we have 9 primary schools participating in the 5 for Fun tournament. Later this term, 5 students will have to play the cricket matches at any point in time from each school. Three should be boys and 2 should be girls, and that's the composition throughout. The winner is the top teams from Nevis will then go against the top teams from St. Kitts, and then they will have a federal winner at the end of that process. And then finally, before we break, I want to also invite everyone to come on out tomorrow to the A1 Farms Nevis and AMP Promotions 5-star parish relay. We have 5 parishes, of course, here on Nevis, and each parish will have a team which will represent them through all relay activities. Admission, this event takes place at the Nevis Athletic Stadium from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. The admission fee, $20 for adults. Children under 12 pay $5, and there's an additional $5 for inside parking. We will see the St. James Tigers, the parish of St. James, sponsored by the Finnish Touch, Islander Water Sports, and Expectral, and they are the St. James Tigers. St. Thomas's Dragons, sponsored by the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank. We have the St. Paul's Falcons, sponsored by the Bank of Nevis Limited. We have the St. John's Mustangs, sponsored by SL Hosfords and Carrie Brewery. And we have the St. George's Hawks, sponsored by the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union. And the participants, of course, would reside in the area in which they are representing. I hope I don't get my colors off. St. James orange, St. Thomas's green, St. Paul's yellow, St. John's burgundy, and St. George's blue. So if you are going out to represent your parish, those are the colors, and you can follow on the events Nevis 5-Star Relay Championship Facebook page for more information. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll get to meet our disaster ambassadors.
From Queen City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know, we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past it quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's Youth on the Go. Youth on the Go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, Youth on the Go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab your gears, let's gather around, and adventure is always waiting. With storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the Go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, Youth on the Go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go.
Let's go, and good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Vaughn Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and welcome to this edition of Youth on the Go here on Vaughn Radio. I am Zahnela Claxton from the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Information Technology, and Library Services. And today, of course, is the final Saturday of the month, and on the last Saturday of each month, we try to engage our disaster ambassadors from our various schools. Today is no different. Today is a day when we have some very special, important ambassadors here with us. If I tell you the color of the shirt they're wearing, you'll know which school they represent. So I think I'll just turn over to them and allow them to introduce themselves, tell us the school they represent, and of course the disaster that we'll be talking about today.
Good morning, my name is Belika, and I represent the Joycean Library Primary School, and I am for the volcanic eruption.
Okay, wonderful.
My name is Zahnela. I am a proud student of the Joycean Library Primary School. I'm a student of grade 6, and I will be representing the volcano.
Okay, so as I said to you, and I said earlier this morning, we have students coming from our various schools, and it is always fun to have our students here, listeners and viewers, as they tell us about our disaster, the various disaster focus for that month. Please note, listeners, that they're not just here for the fun of it or for the interaction, but they're here to educate you, and that's why they are ambassadors. They're here championing a cause to help all of us to learn more about the various disasters, but also to underscore the importance of being prepared, of being informed, of being knowledgeable. And so we'll talk a bit more, and as you learn from them, they are going to be talking a bit, or we'll talk a bit today about volcanoes. So Belika, will start with, well, know that although there is nothing that we can do To prevent a volcanic eruption, being prepared for these events can considerably reduce the risk posed to you and your family and your friends too, of course. So do not wait for an eruption, listeners, to occur to start thinking about preparedness. Do you know that a volcanic eruption can happen in Nevis in our lifetime? Yes, it can. It can definitely happen in your lifetime. Students and of course other listeners and viewers as well. And so Malika, we're going to start with you. For those who may be saying, but this lady is talking about a volcanic eruption happening in my lifetime and I don't even know what she's talking about. Let's start the sensitization process. What is a volcano?
A volcano is a mountain that opens downwards to a pool of molten rock below the surface of the earth. Unlike the most mountains which are pushed up from below, volcanoes are vents through which molten rocks escapes to the earth's surface.
Okay, wonderful. And so we have a foundation for our conversation. Danielle, what happens when an eruption occurs?
Well, you see, when an eruption occurs, there may be lava flow, flattened landscapes, a lot of poisonous gases, flying rocks, and ash that can sometimes travel hundreds of miles downwind.
Okay, all right. And so what amount of area can be impacted by a volcanic eruption?
The danger area around a volcano covers approximately a 20-mile area around the volcano in all directions. However, some danger may exist 100 miles more from a volcano.
Okay, so if we think about our dormant sleeping volcano, and we know the name of it, what is its name?
Nevis Peak.
All right, just making sure. Okay, so if we think about that, Malika, we are looking at about a 20-mile radius from the volcano, around from the volcano, and then you can look at perhaps another, how many miles? 100 minus 20, another 80, right? So you're looking at a total of about 100 miles potentially that we can be affected. We know the size of Nevis. So it's important that we are very informed, that we're very prepared, because you can see the area that can be affected can be relatively large. In a big country, maybe not as much, but because of our size, we have to be more mindful. Danielle, over to you. What do we do before a volcanic eruption?
Well, we must stock an emergency supply kit with items that will last you and your family for at least 72 hours or 3 days. This should include items like non-perishable foods, water, battery-powered radios, batteries, breathing masks for each of your family member, flashlights, batteries, and medication.
Okay, so there are lots of things that we need to stock, and one of the things that I've learned as well, doing this with our students across the various disasters, is that many of the items that you just listed are needed for preparing for most, if not all, disasters. And so bearing that in mind, I think we can, I'll let you repeat the list, because we want our general public to start probably going shopping or thinking of stocking them now, putting the kit away to ensure that they have it for whenever they need it. So let's review the list.
So ensure you have non-perishable foods, water, battery-powered radios, batteries, breathing masks for each of your family member, flashlights, batteries, and medication.
Okay, and I like the concept of the breathing mask as well, because we know some of the dangers of the volcano, which we can talk a bit more about after. Malika, continue with what we can do before a volcano, please.
You can also have an emergency plan to enable you to evacuate at short notice. Ensure that all family members understand the plan.
Okay, great. And how can we go about ensuring that all family members, and either one of you can jump in, how can we go about ensuring that all family members know the plan?
So you can gather together, you can reason out what your evacuation plan might be, what your route will be. Make sure each and every one of the family member understands the plan.
Yes, so you definitely should gather. A family meeting is a good recommendation. Sometimes it might not happen in one meeting, and I tell the ambassadors when they come every time that we don't have to wait for mummies and daddies and aunts and uncles and adults to call a family meeting. If this is something that we know about as ambassadors and we are aware, we need to be the impetus, the reason for starting the meeting, calling the meeting together and making it happen. Because children can make things happen. In fact, children often make things happen better than adults do. That's just a little secret, right? So you can make it happen, all right? All right, so let's continue. During the volcanic eruption, what do we do? If there's one happening, what should we do, Daniel?
We must follow evacuation orders from emergency officials and look out for mud flows.
Okay, and so you have to be vigilant. And in order for you to really follow the evacuation orders from emergency officials, you have to be aware of how you could access the emergency officials, right? You have to be able to have a sense of where to go, where to turn to, what is your backup plan. Once again, doing that research before helps you to know how to respond during. Okay? What are some of the areas or places we could turn to for information during the eruption?
The UWI Seismic Center and our National Emergency Agency, Nevis Emergency Management. Yes.
Okay, and for those who have your radios, you tune into Von Radio. They generally, Von Radio has stood the test of time when it comes to disasters and keeping you informed, and the disaster management agencies will also let you know the other ways and means. Maybe we might not have internet, so we have to look to ensure that there are ways that we can still get connected. Okay. Malika, you can continue with what we can do during.
Well, when there's a volcanic eruption, you have to leave the area promptly if told to do so by authorities.
Okay.
Avoid areas downwind of the volcano and get to high ground away from the volcano.
Okay, perfect. So I think we've covered most of what we need to in terms of what we can do during the volcanic eruption. So we've looked at before, have a plan. During, kind of execute the plan. I think that's what it is. It comes down to. And then after it's done, what do we do?
We must still listen to the safety officials. Don't text, neither talk, as you may block the phone lines for emergency workers.
Good. And so that is also a rule of thumb for any disaster. And the reason I keep incorporating that the similarities is that I want you, our ambassadors, as well as our listeners, the children and adults listening and viewing, to understand, no matter what the disaster, do not spend the time on the phone chatting and gabbing, because you may be blocking up the lines, and a lot of lines will go down, can go down. And so those that are open, we need to use them for emergency purposes only. All right, Malika, any other advice for what we can do after?
You can also clear rooftops of ash, as accumulated ash is very heavy and can cause your roof to collapse. And be sure to avoid volcanic ash deposits or mud flows.
Okay. Why do you think we need to avoid those deposits and mud flows?
We need to deposit those mud flows and ash because they might cause destruction. They might collapse on the roof while you're still inside.
Yes, and if you come across any that are on the ground, they might still be hot.
Yes.
All right, so it can be dangerous or soft, and you can have some sinkage in the ground that can also cause danger for you, and you don't want any further damage and destruction. If you were able to make it through a volcanic eruption, the last thing you need is to get hurt after. So you continue to be vigilant, and once again we're seeing that we're expected to be vigilant, aware, alert from beginning to end. We don't let our guards down during a disaster. We're not through, listeners and viewers. However, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue to talk a bit about volcanoes and volcanic eruptions. We'll take a short break.
When VON vibrates, the whole Caribbean must shake.
8:60 a.m. The Powerhouse.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past it quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's you on the go. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab the gears, let's gather around, and adventure is always waiting. The storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go.
Let's go. Good morning to all of our radio listeners, our viewers via Von Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and welcome to this edition of Youth on the Go here on Von Radio. I'm Zahnela Claxton from the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Library Service, Information Technology, and we are so happy to be here with our children this morning. We have two superstar ambassadors. They're wearing purple, which tells me they might attend the Joycelyn Library Primary School, correct?
Yes.
All right, so we have two ambassadors from the Joycelyn Library Primary School, and we are talking about volcanoes today. Before the break, we shared some tips for before, during, and after a volcano. But there are some key words, students, that our listeners and viewers need to be aware of as it relates to volcanoes and volcanic eruptions, especially if one were to occur and they're listening to the emergency or safety officials. So we're going to start with Malika, and you're going to tell us what is lava.
Lava is molten rocks that come from a volcanic eruption and the rock that results after it has hardened and cooled.
Okay, perfect. And tell us what is molten, because you realize that Malika Daniel said that lava is molten rock. What is molten?
Well, molten is made into a liquid by heat, which means it is melted.
All right, so molten rock or melted rocks.
Yes.
Perfect. Malika, what is an eruption?
An eruption is a sudden, violent outburst like an explosion.
Perfect. And over to you, Daniel. What is a lava flow? What is lava flow?
Well, you see, lava flow is a slow-moving river of molten rock that pours from a volcanic eruption.
Okay, perfect. And what is a pyroclastic flow? So we have a lava flow, which is the slow-moving river of molten rock, and then we have a pyroclastic flow.
Yeah.
What is a pyroclastic flow, Balika?
Pyroclastic flow is a thick, fast-moving and hot avalanche of gas, solid and liquid volcanic debris that can move up to 50 miles to 100 miles per hour.
Wow, so you see the lava goes turtle-like. It's like a turtle, the turtle in the hare, a turtle and a rabbit. So the lava is kind of turtle-like. It's going to get there, but in its own time. And then the pyroclastic flow, fast and furious style, right? That's basically, I think, how we can sum it up. I think you can almost see it when it goes. It's so hot that you can sometimes see the fire in it.
Yeah.
Okay? And then what is lava rock?
Well, lava rock is volcanic lava that has hardened after it is cooled.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's after it's hardened during that period. Okay, so students, we know that we went through some important information. We'll talk a bit more about it in a bit. But I also know that at school, from time to time, I think it might be the grade 5 curriculum. I'm not sure. I think I'm correct. Am I correct? In grade 5, you have the study of volcanoes, so you learned a bit about volcanoes, and a lot of what you shared today came out during those lessons. So I hope all of our grade 5 students across Nevis listened, because you needed to. I know that is a project, that's an activity, and that is a unit in grade 5. I also know that many times we have projects to do around that one. Did you have any projects to do in relation to volcanoes and volcanic eruptions last year? I know you're in grade 6, so you're all big kids now. But last year, did you have any projects to do in relation to volcanoes? And tell us a bit about that.
Well, we had a project to do about the volcano. We had to, I formed the volcano from foam. We sculptured it from foam. Then we put a PVC pipe in the middle, and then we add the mixtures to make it explode, and we also add food coloring to make it have a little bit more color.
Okay, so do you remember what mixture you used to make it explode?
I think it was baking soda and vinegar.
Vinegar, yes, and then the food coloring to give it the color.
Yes.
Right, and I've done that experiment a few times, and it does mimic the volcanic activity and an eruption, with one exception: the heat. You don't get the fire, but other than that, it does a pretty good job of replicating it. And I was wondering, when you said you molded it out of foam, how you were able to get the material through what you included a PVC pipe. So that was a good addition. What about you, Malika? Did you do that experiment at all, or did you build one?
Yes, in past activities, the school had to do something across by Malcolm Nishad Park. And we had to do a volcano eruption activity, and we had to make like a volcano, and when the camera came around, we had to do the explosion.
Okay. How was that?
Fun.
It was fun. But do you think that a real volcano would be as much fun as that one? No, because there's a difference. What's the difference between a real volcano and the activity that you did?
Well, a real volcano can cause great destruction of infrastructure and buildings.
Yes. So in terms of the interview, when the camera came around, you had to do the demonstration. What else were you expected to do during that activity?
We had to state like what should be an emergency kit and what to do before, after, and during a volcanic eruption. So
are you proving the point today that you're real ambassadors? Because you're not only doing it here, you went further afield, you did it in school, in your classrooms, and then you had to go to the park and demonstrate for others to see. Do you see your role, the importance of your role as ambassadors? Yes. So it's a bigger picture, and listeners and viewers, of course, this is all part of the programming of the Nevis Disaster Management Department, and in collaboration with us here at the Ministry of Education et al., through the Department of Education and our various schools. And we want our children to be disaster prepared. We want them to be ready to respond in any situation. And as you can see, the experiences of our students in studio today are testament of that fact. Now, we went through a lot of things, and you've already been able to share some of them in this medium, and even when you did your presentation. What tip would you say stands out to you in relation to what you have shared, or what is something that if you had a chance to just give one message to everyone about disaster management, volcanic eruption, what would that one thing be that you would want to share if you only had one part of the message to share?
Always have a plan, because without a plan you will have to be scrambling all over the place and knowing not what to do. Perfect.
Always have a plan. And Malika, can I say that that's part of the whole of life? Try to have a plan. Within a disaster context and in any context. I think that is a good takeaway. We talked about how to go about getting through that plan. I listened to Daniel's contribution, and then we'll come back and discuss that a little bit more.
Yes, and you must always have an emergency kit, so in case you have any injuries or you need extra clothes, the non-perishable foods, you can always have stock of anything you will need.
What time of year do you think is a good time of year to pack your kit? Any ideas?
I think all the time.
Okay, you should always have it packed, but if they don't have any packed right now, what should they do?
They should get one packed.
Yeah. So the point is that and I will recommend maybe at the beginning of each year, you review your kit, especially for the perishable food items. Make sure you check the expiry dates, and if they're coming close, you remove them. Keep track of the expiry dates, listeners and viewers, which are on the cans, because you don't want the food to spoil either. Food is important, and so you may have to change out those non-perishable items based on the expiry date. So monitor those, keep an eye on those. But a good rule of thumb, maybe in January or so, you do a check of your kit, a constant check, but a full check in January to plan out the whole year, because remember, you always should have a plan, and so that should be part of your planning process as well. After the new year, the ball drops, you say it's time for me to check my kit. Some of us watch the ball drop, some go to watch the fireworks in at Four Seasons, some of us are going to be at church. Wherever you are, once you've started the new year, it's a good rule of thumb to check the kit. And then as you approach, we know in March we do a tsunami awareness, for example. We know hurricane season starts in June. So as you get to those milestones, you check in a few times in the year, and as part of your plan, you probably can decide who will check the kit, when you'll check your kit. And we know we have our phones, you put it on the calendar to make sure that we're keeping up with it. The last thing that we need is to have a whole stock of expired food and then a disaster strikes, or not have what we need to have in the kit because we were supposed to replace something or buy something and didn't. So being prepared is very important. I think those two pieces of advice are both sound and very strong, and I join you in sharing those bits of advice as well. Disaster management and volcanic eruptions, anything to do with safety, should be our priority and should be of great concern to us, and we should pay keen attention and detail to it. Okay, so we are going to take a look at some fun facts and share some information, probably reiterate some of what we talked about. But does anybody know where the word volcano comes from? So I'm going to share some information with you that you may or may not know. Just some little fun facts, listeners and viewers, as we talk about volcanoes. So any idea where the word volcano came from? I never came across it until today. So I'm just saying that you don't have to know. But it comes from a Roman name, Vulcan. Okay?
Yes.
Who was Vulcan? You might ask. The Romans identified him as their god of fire, and that's where the word volcano came from. And so sometimes we use words and we don't know the root of it, but it helps us, and even in our spelling, having the root word often helps us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so volcanoes are often found at places called tectonic plates. Tectonic plates. Have we ever heard of tectonic plates?
Yes.
Plate tectonics, one of my favorite topics in geography. And they're in grade 6 and they know about tectonic plates. Do you remember anything about tectonic plates?
I came across the word when we were talking about earthquakes.
Yes. Perfect.
Because when it moves, when it shifts, the earthquakes happen.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. And so volcanoes often happen at meeting points known as tectonic plates, and these plates are throughout the earth, and when they shift and move, we have earthquakes and of course sometimes volcanoes. Basically tectonic plates are fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, right? Like a puzzle. And so that's what happens there. Now, volcanoes often occur over what are called mantle plumes. Has anybody ever heard about mantle plumes? All right. Yeah. So it's a new one for us. They're super hot areas of rock inside the earth. If we had to guess, how many people live within danger of an active volcano? We're part of that number. If we had to give an approximation about how many people, how much would you guess in the whole world? About how many people live within a danger zone of a volcano?
About...
Wild guess.
5 billion people.
5 billion?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Malika?
Like 4.5 billion.
4.5 billion. Well, a little bit less than that. It's 350 million, just about, which means just about 1 in 20 people in the world live close to a an area of, which is at risk for volcanic activity. Okay. So we're going to ask some other questions when we come back, just to see some fun facts, and then we'll ask them again and see if we remember to play around with it a bit. But we'll take a short break, and when we'll come back, we'll learn a bit more. And these bits of information are actually coming from National Geographic's kids. All right, we'll be right back.
Sugar City St. Kitts, keep it sweet. Keep listening to Vaughn.
It's time, come on, rise and shine. You know, I know we're gonna have a great time. And now we're past it quickly, you don't wanna miss it. So turn up the radio, it's Youth on the Go. Youth on the Go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, Youth on the Go. Whoa, let's start the show. Let's go. I will learn new things. I will be creative. Grab the gears, let's gather around, and adventure is always waiting. The storytelling news for us, and we always know what's happening. We act, we play, we dance, we sing from 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. Youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Oh, youth on the go. Whoa, let's start the show. Whoa, let's go.
Let's go. Good morning to all of our viewers, our listeners via Vaughn Radio's Facebook page and YouTube channel, and welcome back to Youth on the Go here on Vaughn Radio. It is the last Saturday of the month, and so we have our disaster management ambassadors here alongside, I'm your host, Zahnela Claxton from the Ministry of Education et al., and we have our ambassadors, Zahnela and Balika Rajoub, and they're here with us sharing some important information, and we're having a fun little tete-a-tete exchanging of ideas and sharing of information about volcanoes, some fun facts that we're sharing out that persons might not know. Some of them we don't know, we didn't know either. A kind of a did you know session for volcanic in relation to volcanic eruptions. So volcanoes can be classified into three general types. Three classifications. Anybody knows what they are?
It can be extinct, dormant, or active.
Oh, perfect. All right. So active, extinct, dormant. What's the difference? Let's start with active.
Active is when it erupts at any time.
Yeah, so it's continuously erupting. Do we have any active volcanoes in the Caribbean region that we know of? Montserrat. And fun fact, not so fun fact, when we were younger, that's when the volcanic activity in Montserrat started. I might have been somewhere close to your age, which makes me very young, by the way. Yes, I'm putting that on record. I might have been your age, in fact, just about that, and that's when it started. And so we experienced a lot of the gases. We experienced right here from Nevis. Sometimes you would come out in the morning and your vehicle was covered in ash. The windows, your roof, the ash got really thick at some points. Persons had issues with their allergies and sinuses because it was something new. The sulfur smell was very strong, so sometimes you would come out, sometimes you could see it on the grass, so the grass would be white because we're relatively close to Montserrat. Many of our classmates whom we got to meet following the activity left Montserrat to find safer places, and so there are persons who are still living here today who are from Montserrat, and they left because of course they had to evacuate due to the dangers associated. So that is my very distant experience, but not so distant experience with that. I'm happy that you don't have to experience that constant ashfall, and that went on for a good while, maybe about 2 years, 3 years. It went on for a significant amount of time. Most of Montserrat was evacuated. Now there's still life there. They're still having the activities. It doesn't happen. The eruptions are not as frequent. They have some some gas sometimes and some ash sometimes, but they don't have the pyroclastic flow and the lava flow, because all of that existed. And we saw videos coming out of Montserrat, and it was kind of traumatic and scary at the same time, because we were wondering what would happen or could happen. We're so close. But the children have gone back for most part to their regular lives. There are certain parts of Montserrat which are still not occupied, but they have schools at all levels, and they've tried to function. So, but that is an example, of course, you're correct, of an active volcano. What about a dormant volcano?
Well, a dormant volcano is a volcano that is not extinct, but it's sleeping.
Okay, it's basically
Like
sleeping.
our volcano.
Yes.
It is sleeping. So we can see activities like the hot spring. That is when we know that it's not extinct, but it's dormant.
Perfect. Kudos to you, to your teachers, and to you for doing some reading. And then extinct.
Extinct is when the volcano is like not active, not dormant. It basically just died.
Yeah, basically died, right? And so you will not have any sign of activity coming out of it at any point. There has been a long time, maybe a few decades or a few centuries, since you've seen the any activity happen. And then we have Kick and Jenny. Y'all ever heard of Kick and Jenny?
Yeah, the underwater.
Volcano. Tell them about it.
It's an underwater volcano that I think it's found near the coast near Barbados.
Okay, so Kick and Jenny, underwater volcano right here in the region. And we are often told that many of our landforms or islands actually came out of the ocean through volcanic activity. And so volcanic activity can be detrimental to human life and to life altogether, but it can also build.
Yes.
It extends the surface, the area of the land, so it has that potential to build over time as well. So that's something that we should pay attention to, and know that it's not just destructive, students and listeners, but it has that potential to build as well. Okay, so volcanoes can be in a variety of shapes. There are two main types of shapes of volcanoes. I'm not sure if we know that one, so I'm going to share with you, because this was a little bit difficult. So there are two main shapes: the composite volcano, and it's a cone shaped with steep slopes, and we have the shield volcanoes, which are wider and have a gentler slope. So the cone shape with the steep slope, that's composite, and then there's some that are wider and then a more gentle slope, and those are our shield volcanoes. Okay, and like you said, volcanoes don't only happen on land, they happen in the ocean, and they can also happen under ice caps as well. Okay, so you'll see sometimes in some areas that are cold, and you might think, oh, nothing can happen there. Volcanic activity can happen. Fun fact, take a pause for a cause. Lava from a volcano can reach up to 1,250 degrees Celsius, listeners, and so that is pretty hot, right? The world's largest active volcano. Do you have any idea where that one is? Which country might be in? The world's largest active volcano.
I know it's not in the Caribbean.
It's not in the Caribbean, because we generally have smaller. We're a smaller space, but the world's largest active volcano is actually in Hawaii. And Hawaii has a lot of, remember, Hawaii has many islands, an island chain as well. There are many active volcanoes in Hawaii, but the Mauna Loa volcano, I don't know if that's where the movie came from, Moana. I think that's where it came from. That is the largest active volcano. It's 4,169 meters tall, and it last erupted 40 years ago in 1984. Okay, so that's a bit of information that I think is really, really cool for you to know. Another one, the world's active volcanoes are found. Most of the world's active volcanoes are found on the Ring of Fire. And have you ever heard of the Ring of Fire?
Yes.
Any idea where that is located?
I heard of it in a class session.
Uh-huh.
Is it near the Atlantic area?
Close. Not Atlantic, but the Pacific.
Pacific.
Yes, so they're in the Pacific Ocean, and it is a 40,000 kilometer horseshoe-shaped area in the Pacific. So that's where the Ring of Fire is located, and many active volcanoes occur there as well. But as I said, it's not solely destructive. Over time, lava and ash break down to produce nutrient-rich soil, great for growing crops. That's why some people like to set up their home on the slopes of a volcano, because it helps once it's cleared and it has had a chance to properly break down. It can produce rich, fertile lands, and I think that is the reason that we still experience good farming in the tropics as well, because of the activity over time. We still have a lot of that in those nutrients, because thousands of years won't make a big difference when it comes to nutrients and continuing to use proper agricultural practices. So this, not another fun fact. We talked about us using it for fertile soils. Birds use volcanoes. Birds. Yeah. A Malaya bird. The Malaya birds bury their eggs in sand or soil near volcanoes to keep them warm. So that specific species, the Malaya birds, when the chicks hatch, they claw their way up to the surface. So once again, lots of little fun facts about the importance of volcanoes. Yes, in Iceland we have volcanoes. We have the Soufriere Hills volcano here in the Caribbean as well. So you have active, you have dormant, and you have extinct volcanoes all throughout. And as I said, we have the composite volcanoes and the shield volcanoes. So if we had to look at Nevis Peak based on the shape, which one would we say it is? A composite, which has steep slopes, cone shape with a steep slope, or shield, which is wide with a gentle slope?
Composite.
Oh yeah, I think it's a composite. Yeah, so that would make a lot of sense. So we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot today together. Our listeners and viewers have learned a lot, we hope. And above all else, we want to make sure everybody has a plan, and they have what? Packed? An emergency kit. And as I want to say, do not, if it ever happens, do not panic. Go to your plan. Stick to your plan, because you have a plan, and execute. I know it may be a scary experience, but we have to keep our minds calm and remain focused so that we can be safe. Any final words from either one of you? You have anyone you want to say thank you to or good morning to before we close out? We have just about 1 minute to do that.
Well, good morning to the students of the Joycelyn Library Primary School. I hope you are listening, so if you have a session or a class on it, you will be able to expound on what the teacher is saying.
All right, perfect. Any advice? You have anybody else you want to say good morning to, Daniel, before we? It's good. Okay, Malika, anyone you want to say good morning to? So you're not even going to say good morning to your teachers, not even your parents. Y'all have some big supporters out there. Say good morning to them. They're out there listening. Say good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mom and Dad.
They have names.
Shavalno and Junilo.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Ranita Rajup and Suresh Rajup.
All right, perfect. And so good morning to all of your teachers as well, and we want to say thank you to Mrs. Brandon team for allowing you to be here today. And we want to also say thank you to Mr. Gumba, Jack Gumba and team for ensuring that we have what we need to execute the program. Next month, during the last Saturday of the month, we will have our disaster awareness program, and I can tell you that the month of May is the drought. So next month our ambassadors will teach us a bit about drought. We won't have the students from the Joycelyn Library Primary School. We'll have students from the next school. Tune in to find out which school, and tune in to find out who those students are. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to meeting up with you again next week. Have a safe and wonderful week.
With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio.